was like, oh yeah, good for
It wasn't
them.
all about indoor, despite Jason's protests. So, so we're gonna get things started on a positive note today from across the pond, and I got some good news from Germany. The global anti-prohibitionist movement claims yet another victory today with Germany's first official adult use regulations going into effect today. Can we get a round of applause for Germany?
There you go.
There we go.
I know how much you like those things.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So the German Cannabis Association, which campaigned for the new law, was celebrating and staged a smoke-in at Berlin's landmarked Brandenburg Gate when the law took effect at midnight. Per the Associated Press's reporting this morning, pro-cannabis campaigners lit in celebratory joints as the country liberalized rules on cannabis to allow possession of small amounts. Other public consumption events were scheduled throughout the country, including one in front of the Cologne Cathedral and others in Hamburg, Regensburg, and Dortmund. Germany's new cannabis law legalizes possession by adults of up to 25 grams, it's nearly 1 ounce, of cannabis for recreational purposes and allows individuals to grow up to 3 plants on their own. That part of the legislation takes effect today, and German residents age 18 or older will be allowed to join nonprofit cannabis clubs with a maximum of 500 members starting July 1st. Individuals will be allowed to buy up to 25 grams a day or maximum 50 grams per month, a figure limited to 30 grams for people under 21. Membership in multiple clubs will not be allowed, and the club's costs will be covered by membership fees, which are to be staggered according to how much marijuana members use. AP reported that the legislation also calls for an amnesty under which sentences of cannabis-related offenses that will no longer be illegal are to be reviewed and in many cases reversed. Regional authorities worry that the judicial system will be overburdened by thousands of cases. The law that was pushed through was by the current coalition of Chancellor Olaf Scholz's Social Democrats, the Greens, and the pro-business Free Democrats against opposition from some of Germany's federal states, and the center-right Christian Democrats, led by Friedrich Merz. Merz, on his end, has vowed that his party will reverse the legislation when it wins national elections as expected in the fall of 2025. Sounds a lot like Republicans here. Leading garden stores surveyed by the DPA news agency indicated that they would not be adding cannabis plants to their horticultural offerings, and the German Medical Association also opposed the law, saying that it could have grave consequences for the developmental and life prospects of young people in their country. I believe that this is a huge win for general access to the plant and for German citizens. And of course, the right-wing politicians in Germany are drawing from the same tired rebuttals that have failed to stand up to modern science, but hey, it is what it is. I think the most interesting part of Germany's new law is they're capping off at these social clubs at 500 members each. I think that they will no doubt be social status linked to what club you have access to. And I think an unintended consequence may be the development of a cannabis caste system of sorts down the line once they begin opening in July. But congrats no less to everybody who's been fighting for this over there in Germany. I wish the best of luck to all of our friends, one on one end of the game or the other. Because for the people who don't get into those clubs, there's always the trap. My name is Rico Lemite, the dopest data on the street for High at 9 News. I'd like to hear from everybody else. What y'all think about Germany coming true?
I mean, isn't this just a new market for Canadian boof weed?
A new market for, say again?
Canadian boof, because isn't Canada supplying Germany? Because they're not growing it in Germany.
They'll be growing it there too, but
No.
yeah, it's gonna be a major market for Canadian importing.
Exactly. I feel bad for all those Germans that have to smoke Canadian weed. I feel bad for them.
Some Germans came out to California and they were touring California for when we were eventually able to export last year.
When we're eventually available to export, man, that's going to be years away, bro. So many years away, because Biden's talking about moving it to Schedule 3. That's not going to allow any import.
We'll see. We'll see,
Schedule
Jason.
3 ain't going to allow for any import.
You can export scheduled drugs for sure.
No. You're not going to be able to export cannabis, bro, on Schedule 3.
What would happen if the Republicans win here, Jason? Would that go by quicker?
Everything happens faster and better under Republicans, Rico.
Sure. It's just like in Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm. It's because it wasn't the right bill, apparently.
It never is. What do you think about this one, Yarrow?
Well, I'm kind of in one of those on the one hand, on the other hand moods.
Look at this.
On the one hand, look, they're only the third country in the European Union to get off blocks and to do something. And so I think it's important for me to celebrate that. And on the other hand, some of this feels very much like an antiquated patchwork of policies that were around prior to the end of prohibition, like clubs and not-for-profit and limiting how many members and limiting how much you can have and how much you can take and how much per month. And what about the patient who uses more than 2 ounces per month? And so, look, Germans make great things. Clearly, cannabis policy isn't one of them. And what I just mean by that is they this looks a little hodgepodge, like a sort of sausage approach. Just kind of grind it up, throw it in there. Maybe this will work. I think it's better than nothing. But I think that the participants will quickly come up against the limitations and failings of this amalgamation of policy, and some of that I can see coming from a mile away, and we'll be able to cover it again here.
Yarrow, would you call it this a Wiener Schnitzel?
I'm not gonna bite on your schnitzel, Jason. It's a Monday morning, okay? Let's just keep it at that.
Bite the schnitzel.
You're not gonna take that bait.
It was power bait. You sure?
Yeah.
Sure? He's
Power
on
bait.
the verge. He's on the verge. I can see it wanting to come out of his mouth.
Oh my
Second
God.
cup of coffee. We'll see what I say.
Oh,
I'm not taking it that far.
I mean,
there's not enough room. There's not enough room on this news desk this morning, Jason. We're all cramped up.
Cute. You guys need to quit playing footsie.
Get your hand in my pocket, Yarrow.
That's not my hand.
Oh man. But I will say though, overall, this is good news for Germany. Like overall, in light of the jokes, this is great news that Germany is doing this going forward. They are the largest country in the European Union, and so hopefully this does start to trend over there in the EU.
Yeah,
most
sure.
powerful too.
And look, it beats a Holocaust, so they're going in the right direction. Thank you.
Man.
Whoa.
And when we said let's get roasted, we did not mean more of our kinfolk. So thank you. And we'll see what happens. Will they use these guidelines as Prohibition 2.0? Will they start arresting people who have 51 grams of cannabis? Will they start giving grief to organizations that have 525 members instead of 500 members? And will they have a reasonable interpretation of not-for-profit and still being able to be to recapture the true costs? And so if they do it in a way that is logical and ethical and efficient, it could work.
It's not going to happen. You're living in a dream.
I'm wondering if we're going to see that tsunami of Colombian weed everybody's been talking about go to Germany.
Oh yeah, you're going to see that too. You're going to see that too. That's for sure. The Colombian.
Very interested in what that looks like.
That is definitely going to be happening.
Will it be legal or the illegal stuff you talking about?
Oh no, the illegal export from Colombia. Colombia has been building some real huge super grows with this thought that they were going to be the first to export to Germany once Germany legalized and allowed import.
Yeah, they've got a lot riding on the EU. Colombia.
They have a lot riding on their schnitzel. And on that, we're going to go to a commercial. And we're going to be right back.